How's everybody doing tonight? This is Chopping It Up Hardcore with Hal Capone, discussion number 40. Tonight I'm speaking with the legendary Dave Walker-Lecic, frontman of the amazing legendary band Harvest, in the top five of vocalists for me all time. Unbelievable. He was in Krakatoa, Season of Fire. He's in an amazing band called Sunset right now that totally rips. We'll talk about all that stuff. He was in, what else was he in? If I didn't say The Good Fight. Just an awesome vocalist. Super pumped to talk to him. Yeah, I hope everybody's good. Hope the Sunday was good. You know, I did my Home Depot run and started working on the yard a little bit. So, you know, it's what Sundays are for, I guess. But he should be coming shortly. But like I said, living with a God complex in '97 was like top three. That, Endeavor, Millhouse, those releases. Trustkill was putting out so much good stuff at that time also. So, like I said, super stoked to talk to him. One of my all-time favorite vocalists ever in hardcore. His screams are ridiculous. So, just going to talk to him about that and, you know, hope everybody's good. Should be on any second. Like I said, if anybody wants to see these things, I throw them up on YouTube. Just search Hal Capone. I have a channel up there. All my talks are on there, as well as like some of the videos that I've taped for shows and stuff like that. There's a a handful of shows, and my Last House on the Left, my first band that I was ever in, that demo was on there too as well. And there's a live video of my old band High School Sweethearts if anybody wanted to check that out too as well. But like I said, I hope everybody's good. Dave should be joining us any minute. If anybody has any suggestions on who I should talk to, I mean, if I'm down with that person, I'd love to, suggestions on who to talk to, because I'm going to keep doing this as long as I can. It's crazy. In New Hampshire, it snowed on Friday. Excuse me. And now it's like 60 degrees right now. So it's crazy. It's going to be 70 on Tuesday, and then it's going to go back down into the 40s, Thursday, I think. So New England spring is kind of crazy. Should be jumping on any second. I talked to Nick and Matt from Ruheda and Makara last night. If anybody didn't see that, go to my IGTV and peep that if you're into those bands. Those guys are fucking great guys. Really fun to talk to them last night. I did like a little Saturday, Sunday this weekend. Try to fit in whatever people, time-wise, flexibility. I'm very flexible, so I try to fit in everything I can because I love talking to these musicians and people I admire and stuff like that. It's been really fun, so. Let's see. I don't know, Dave, if you're using this. Dave, are you using the Sunset page? Okay. Just making sure. I didn't want to add you in case it was somebody else in the band. My bad. Should be on any second. Here we go. Just waiting on him. Dave, how you doing?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
Good. I want to thank you
I'm
so much for doing this, taking the time out to do
yeah,
this. Now did
Absolutely.
now did I botch your last name? Because I said Lecic.
Lecic.
Lecic. Oh, I was close.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, that's awesome. It's better than most do. So most like, yeah, I don't even want to go where they go, but yeah. Um, so yeah, forgive me. My son's watching Black Panther, and so it's super loud in our house. So I'm outside.
Yeah.
I'm like on a third level, like deck thing, and so like, and we're on a flyover. So I forgive me if like I cut in and out or like things happen or whatnot. I'm also like I work in the digital space, but when it comes to things like this, like social media and everything, I'm pretty technically illiterate. So like I just want to be put that out there that like I'm like I don't know. Like this is like the second time I've done something like this, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my god, what's happening? So
Yeah. Yeah. Um, like once again, thank you for doing this. I saw your other one that you did with I forget who it was with. Just it was probably a
Ray,
couple weeks ago.
Ray Harkins,
Yeah,
yeah,
I saw
yeah,
maybe about 20 minutes of that, and then like as you, I'm a parent, so I had my girls running around and doing stuff. So I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but I tried to watch as much as I could. So
yeah.
it's been fun doing these things. Like I said, this is my 40th talk. I've been talking to a bunch of great people. So usually I start out with asking what got you into punk and hardcore and where you grew up. Were you into maybe say rock and roll first, and then maybe heavy metal, and then it turned to like a hardcore thing? Like what got you started out listening to punk and hardcore?
Digging deep. I'm almost 50, so I'm gotta like go back into the. I gotta take the Wayback Machine. So I have a half brother who, not that that wasn't probably my initial gateway into like punk, but or like it wouldn't have been. But at that time, I was about 8 years old, and he he spent his life growing up in Northern California, Bay Area. He was a skin out there, and he but he and we have the same dad, and so he would visit me once in a or visit him once in a while, and he brought me this Dead Kennedys record, and he's like, oh, I saw the Dead Kennedys recently, and here's one of their records. And so he was growing up going to see Dead Kennedys, he and all of those things, and so but he handed me this record, and I didn't know what it was. I had maybe one tape. I think it was Bill Haley and the Comets from my
Yeah.
mom. I'm 8 years old. Yeah, I mean, and this is like, what was that? What was that? What would that make it? It's 1980, 81, I guess, something like that. So I'm like, oh, okay. And so I didn't know what to, at first I was like, what is this sonically? What's happening here? And then he gave me a whole list of like bands I should check out and whatever else. And again, like you're 8 years old, what kind of access to money do you have? And or just let's just say access in general at that time.
Yeah.
And so I was like, and so I was going through the list, and he was like giving me Wire, X, Kidney Bingos. I can't even remember if that's how you like pronounce that name right. And just a whole load of like that era, and like New York Dolls and stuff like that. And I was just like, so I picked up a couple of those and was like, whoa. But then alongside that, there was things staring at me, and it was like this record called Blizzard of Oz, and stuff like that. And I was like, whoa, what's that? And so, yeah, there was a period of time was like my first foray into punk was pretty like older punk, but like at the same time, like I didn't circle back to it for a few years.
Yeah.
So like I'm 8 years old. I don't know what I like yet.
Yeah.
Like I was blown away by this stuff, but like I wasn't sure. But when I heard I'm an 80s metal kid, like through and through, like Motley Crue, Scorpion, Dokken, Warrant, everything. Like it's just, you name it. Like I loved it all. I couldn't get enough. And like, and one of the first shows I got to see was Ozzy and Metallica. And it was Metallica's Ride the Lightning tour. And I had no idea who they were, like really who they were at all.
Yeah.
And like, cause I just was there to see Ozzy. Like, he was like, that's like Ozzy, Black Sabbath, like, fuck yeah, like, that's all I want. And then Metallica played, and it was like, I was like, what is this? Like, that was like next level. And so, because at the time, it's like, who knew anything from anything? So I'll circle back to Metallica in a little bit, but like, the point being is that like, yeah, I loved all that stuff. But then like, then bands started to get a little obscure and like kind of like drive like Corrosion of Conformity, bands like that. I started to get exposed to and things like that, and that was like, and DRI for instance,
Yeah.
and then DRI like led me to Circle Jerks, led me to like Black Flag, led me to like all those other things. And again, so just to give context, where I grew up, rural southern Minnesota, like middle of nowhere, between two hamlets of each 150 people. I spent a bit of time traveling back and forth to LA and Long Beach, where my dad was raised, and that was cool. And so like as I started to get more familiar with like what I liked, I could go to a local store there and pick some stuff up. But like for the most part, I was limited to like, fucking Columbia Record House, tapes and like our local shops, and I'd have to special order everything.
Yeah.
So like I wanted a Metallica tape, I had to go order it. Like, and I had vinyl a little bit, but I wasn't like, tapes were it. Like tapes were my thing. Like, and so anyway, all of this aside is that like, slowly I just kind of, how I really kind of got into the music that I wanted to know, that I knew I wanted to play, at least like whatever you want to call it, all kind of came from through that lens of like kind of the more the thrash metal type of like crossover stuff.
Yeah.
And that really exposed me to so much of that. And then when I was old enough to, or had friends old enough to take me to shows and do that kind of thing, that was like, those are the milestones that I think we all have of like going to our first show. That's a hardcore punk show.
Yeah.
Which makes it so different than sitting in a fucking hockey rink watching, Scorpion set up their, umpteen billion set rig, with the rotating shit. And like, I was at Monsters of Rock in '88 and was just like, what is this? Like, I mean, it was overwhelming. Van Halen was the headliner. It was awesome, but still, it wasn't realistic or approachable for me. And then when you go to a basement or like some club that's like probably not like sanctioned as a club, but there's bands playing and you're like, it just blows your mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so I, luckily enough, like, even though I was older, a lot of my younger friends, like I had a ton of friends who were just a hair younger than me, who I grew up with in Faribault in Northfield, Minnesota. And those friends are, and most of them are still my friends to this day. And we all kind of grew up together in that space of kind of going to shows. We created a warehouse in Faribault where like, and it was this like, I don't even quite remember what it was originally, but we had Snapcase come there. We didn't know who they were.
Yeah.
I just remember the really thick binder Tony Brummel sends me. It's just like with all this like fucking gobbledygook or whatever like on there. I'm just like, what is this? Like, we're not giving them anything. Like, we'll give them what we give them. Like, I had no idea. I was so ignorant. But anyway, it was awesome. Yeah. So they came and like, and then Groundwork came, and there's something special, that band.
Yeah, definitely.
And so like, and then I started to like get involved in like booking shows in southern Minnesota, Mankato and Faribault and other places like that. And but it was just like, it was such a community, and we were all just trying to bring as much music as we could to expose as many of these people in this rural place that to this. And then we're getting people from the cities to kind of find the Minneapolis and St. Paul to finally come down to our space to see. Yeah. And we had, and in Northfield, we had a great community center and things like that, and a youth center called The Key. And yeah, just so many like great things started popping up after that. We had like, we would turn public parks. We would like rent a public park for an hour and a half and do a show and a grill out. And, that was the youth that, like I didn't know I wanted so badly until it was there. And I was like, and everybody needed it and craved it in a couple towns where, a lot of us didn't know what we were going to do the next day or what futures we had or anything like that. And so it was really life changing and life saving for a lot of us. So.
Yeah, so basically, it sounded like you guys just grew the scene yourselves, you and your friends in that area.
Yeah, definitely. It was there wasn't anything like that before. I mean, and there were little like grassroots organizations going on in like in adjacent places, and so anything we could do to promote each other, and that's how it worked, and that was the community that is punk and hardcore,
Yeah.
you know, and you know, somewhere along the lines, like, you know, I've definitely lost touch with some of the people that I was close to at the time, and naturally that happens with age and distance and things like that, but then also, I think the scene has grown so much that, you know, and the way that all of everybody's connecting now, through devices and through other means, and, you know, and it's easy to know what a band sounds like well before they come and play your town now, but before it was a surprise every time
Yeah.
bands show up, and you're like, what is this band going to sound like? You know,
Exactly.
I've heard rumors from my brother's sisters, my brother's sister, you know, or my like sister's cousin. She went and, you know, saw them, and then she reported back that they were really, really cool. And then they're nothing like that, but
Yeah.
like still, it was like the like magic and the mystery of like seeing, like going to just a show of like four bands you've never heard of, from who are just working their asses off around the country,
Yeah.
and just, you know, like that to me is so that to me was the magic of that time, definitely. And like, you know, I'm not like grumpy old man here, but like I'm just saying, like, for me that's the nostalgia that I so appreciated at that time, definitely. And so yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, I have a similar background. When I was little, I'm almost 50 years old too. I'm 49. So
Yes.
I've been around for a while too. My background's similar. I liked heavy metal to begin with. You know, my mom was a heavy metal fan, so she took me to, like, before I was driving, she took me to Judas Priest, Scorpions. I saw Twisted Sister, like the Stay Hungry tour, like all the bands you were talking about, Cinderella. I've seen Iron Maiden 5 times, but back in the day. And then that kind of turned into thrash metal for me. I started listening to like Metallica and Slayer and like Death
Mm-hmm.
Angel and Testament and stuff like that. And that then I found hardcore after that, because people were kind of like, Agnostic Front was kind of, you know, they were hardcore, but they were blending in metal too at that time. And then I found out about them, and then I started diving deep into like Minor Threat and just like all the, you know, Bad Brains and stuff like that, all the
Yep.
classic like punk stuff. And then by that time, I was like full fledged into hardcore and going to shows all the time. And I say this all the time. My first show, I was 11 years old. I went to the Channel in Boston, and I saw SSD and DYS and the Angry Samoans. Uh,
Wow.
and I was scared shitless in there. So
Yeah.
that being said, I didn't go to a show for another 4 years. I didn't like. I loved the energy and I loved it, but I was scared. I thought it was gonna get like beat up or jumped on or something like that. So it
Yeah.
took me till I was 15 to start going to like regular hardcore shows. But that's when, you know, I saw like Youth of Today, Judge, like all those bands in Boston, and then it just progressed from there and started, you know, my love of hardcore.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's about the same time. Yeah, I would say for me too, is like I didn't quite know. Yeah, and you know, again, I was probably as picky then as I am now, but like, I mean, I just, you know, you just like what you like,
Yeah.
and you probably, you know, I like you, like, there are some of the big, like, largest gateway bands. I was like, what is this? I can't listen to this at all, like, you know. And still to this day, it might be like that. But then there's other bands like AF, for instance, like, yeah, just floored me from day one.
Yeah.
But and Chromags, I like way better
Oh
now than
yeah.
I did when I was a kid.
Oh really? No kidding.
Yeah, like I didn't get it. Like I was like, it's not my, like, I for some odd reason just didn't like, it
Yeah,
didn't.
it didn't just grasp you when you're
Yeah, but Agnostic Front for some odd reason, and maybe it was that damn video that they did with the one that was like Sick
oh
of It
yeah,
All,
yeah,
Gorilla Biscuits, Agnostic Front, and like, and 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 hearing Victim in Pain, from like on that VHS, it was just like, what the fuck, you
yeah,
know, like, it's just, and his voice was just, it resonated from where I wanted, like what I like, for some odd reason I loved that, like, unintelligible, like, but yet so passionate, like, thing that he has, like, I don't know, at that time, like, that's that recording. I'm like, how did you even, like, how are you still standing after recording that
Yeah,
record? Like
yeah,
that record is momentous for me. Like, yeah. So
yeah. I agree. Totally, definitely. Speaking of Metallica, I saw that same tour too when I was a kid, and
nice.
I
Yeah.
knew a little bit about Metallica, but obviously I was there for Ozzy as well, and
Yeah.
Metallica just blew me away more than Ozzy did. I was a huge Ozzy fan too, but like Metallica was so loud when they played that like the seats were shaking. I saw it at the Worcester Centrum in Massachusetts, and
Oh, wow.
I was like, what the fuck is this? This is so loud. I'm like, and I was in love, like totally, because I had heard Kill 'Em All before that, but
Okay.
just like I wasn't like crazy into it. I heard it a bunch of times, but I wasn't really into it. But then once I saw them live and started listening to Ride the Lightning, I was like hooked on that stuff. So it's funny that we both saw that same tour.
Yeah. Yeah. It was crazy. And just to like be in the same space with so many people who also like could kind of let go. Like I had never seen anything like that before. And that's when that was when uh, circle pits were still like, and I mean, I was like seeing that kind of dancing, you have to understand, what age were we, like 11, 12, something like that,
Yeah,
and
it was.
you're seeing that kind of energy. It's like, what's happening? It's like, as a
Yeah,
12-year-old, you just to like witness that level of violence, but uh, in a way that's complete, like that everybody wants it, and I'm like, what is happening? Why is that person punching that person? And they're okay with it, and then they punch them back, and it's just what's happening? Like you just don't, nothing can prepare you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I went to that show, the DYS and SSD show, they weren't really like doing the spin kicks and the punches back then. They were more like just
No.
jumping on each other and shoving each other, and more just like it was more of just like pushing very violently and stuff like that. And then like 4 years later, it was kind of more violent than that. And then by mid '90s, late '90s, it was full-fledged craziness. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I mean, I think my real feeling of that was, I think, in '97 or something. We were playing in the Westcott Community Center in Syracuse, and I took a kick to the ribs, and it broke three of them. So we still finished our set, but like, yeah, I did not feel well. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like maybe late to mid '90s was when all that karate kicks and spin kicks and the wild stuff started happening. That was when I
Yeah.
first that's when I first started seeing it. I can't lie, I was in there too doing the same stuff. So
Nice, nice.
um,
Yeah, I didn't go there. I was really into floor punches and stuff, and like and whatnot. But I was not. Yeah, I couldn't. I love kicking, but like, yeah, I couldn't do it.
yeah,
Like, I'm not that acrobatic,
floor
I guess.
punching, wasn't they called that picking up change? Is that what they was?
Oh yeah, yeah, mowing the lawn, all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff. Like, yeah,
Uh, so I
yep.
would like to talk about how Harvest began. How did you guys get together? How did it start? I just want to say before you answer that, Harvest to me by far is like top 10 band ever for me in punk and hardcore.
Wow.
Your vocals are like same thing. Top 5, top 10 for me. Living with a God Complex, and like the Incision 7-inch. That's the first thing I heard.
Oh yeah.
I picked that up at a record store. I played that, and I was like, what the hell is this? This shit is so sick. I'm like, what? And then I was, Very Distribution. Anything that you
Oh
guys put
yeah.
out, Very Distribution, I bought because like I got that first 7-inch, and then anything you guys put out, I tried to buy everything. To that case, I wanted to show you this. This is over 20 years old. This is
Yeah.
the withered, the hoodie neck, no string, and then the original. This is an original one.
Nice. Yeah.
It's kind of falling apart on the back, but I never got rid of it. I still have it. Yeah, it's good. I don't know, over 20 years old. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. No, man, thank you. I appreciate that. That's funny because that Incision record for me was, and maybe still is, my favorite some of the favorites, my favorite stuff that I know I personally like did, or how I felt like recording it, like just the overall vibe and feeling of that record. And all of ours are, I feel like in a way, progressing towards something. I always felt like that was, we were making, like, we were very methodical, if you will, about each record, because you can tell, obviously, we're just figuring ourselves out on the first 7-inch, and then Incision comes out, and it's like, yeah, that's kind of like, it's got a lot of the tonality that like we bring into God Complex and
Yeah.
and stuff, and Virtue, by bringing Virtue from the first record into the LP, just made sense, because that song's kind of got a little bit of that anthemic quality and some of the hooks, because the record is, for a lot of people, is like, it's just shy of a couple hooks for some people to catch on to, and I get that, because for the reason that I'm a little wordy, and there's just I wrote a lot at that time, but anyway, so Harvest, yeah, so we got together late. Eric and I, Eric had just moved back from Colorado, and he was riding professionally, or semi-pro snowboard out there, and he had broken his femur, unfortunately. And so my roommate at the time knew him, and he was in our house, and we got to talking, and we said maybe we should start doing something, and then he mended and whatnot, and we got so that was like, yeah, late '93, and then '94 we kicked it off. So yeah, but I think we were kind of already, like, Eric already had a few things in his back pocket in terms of like riffs and things like that we were contemplating, and then we found Adam and Aaron Parks and so forth, so to do to join us. So yeah, so that's essentially how it was. And then I was driving to rehearsals one day, and that's how and that was the name that I was like, yeah, that's the name I think we should use, and that was it. And yeah.
Who came up with the name?
I did. Yeah.
You came up with the name?
Yeah.
What was it? Were you writing down names, or how did you come up with that?
And I think we maybe had other stuff, but like, there was just something about it that was like, I really like names that didn't sound hardcore. I liked having a name that kind of, because we didn't know what we were going to do, what we were going to sound like.
Yeah.
It was like, we have a rough idea. We knew we wanted to play hardcore, but what kind? Like, my voice wasn't like anything like it is now, and it's different now than it was before. So like, but like, I wasn't like looking to go AF route. Like I would have loved if my voice was that mature at that age, but it wasn't. And like, and there's no way I could do that, but I don't know many people who can do that. Again, I love it. But anyway, so again, Harvest kind of like, for me, it was always about emotive playing, because hardcore punk for me is at its very essence, and why I needed it was because it was my outlet for every single emotion that I couldn't share with others in a face-to-face conversation. It was a way for me to literally, it was that catharsis and that way for me to like really dig into my fears, anxieties, my things that I was fucking pissed about. Like and I know everybody sure, and like, I'm not saying anything new or revolutionary here, but for me at that time, the way I looked at it was, this was a way to harvest my emotions, to like literally, like, that's what it meant, and I wanted to do it collectively, and I wanted to, like, I had no aspirational thing other than I had done a couple other bands before it, and I knew this was going to be different, and I wanted to keep it ambiguous to the point where it could lead anywhere it wanted to. You put out a band name that's like, that's got a hard name or something like that, and there's some expectations there. Yeah. I'm sorry, but like, like Slayer, like you get what you pay for. Yeah. But with us, I wasn't sure, it's like, so I really like that. And that's why I like Sunset so much. as a name too for that reason.
Yeah.
There are very few names I really like and gravitate towards, but again, it's um, but but I do love names, and of course I like song names. I spend hours thinking about them and like, what is this going to be? What do I, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I write a lot, and I still write a lot. And this last year though, has been a fucking shit show, as we all know. And creative, some people have sparked their creativity's gone through the roof, and they can't stop creating shit.
Yeah.
And then for me, it was a complete fucking nightmare, and I haven't been able to like. I really struggled putting pen to paper until just this winter, again, and now I feel like some momentum's happening, and I'm really like opening up. Maybe helps that we're not piled in snow right now either. So
Yeah, yeah, true. I know it just snowed in New Hampshire on Friday, and
ah,
now it's like 60 degrees here
yeah,
today, which is, you live in Minnesota, so I don't have to tell you.
yeah, I know. And I mean, we don't have lake effect, like, or like the water, like kind of things that you probably have to, you and the Eastern Seaboard deal with, fucking like in a terrible way. I mean, I see a number of events
Yeah,
going on all the time.
the nor'easters that swirl up.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it gets crazy. But you guys have to deal with the Arctic cold. I know that the sway of the how it you guys were in very Arctic weather last year. I remember it
yeah,
was like -10, -15 for about 3 weeks straight for you guys last year, which was
hmm
crazy. So, like I said, it's I'd rather maybe have snow than have the cold that you guys have to deal with.
yeah. I know. I think definitely, and I think unfortunately, climate change is making it more milder for us, and we're getting more rain. Like I lived in Connecticut for a little while, and I remember dealing with that and going, "What the hell?"
Yeah,
Because there's so much ice, and we didn't have ice before. We just had snow, and yeah, we had ice, but like it was mostly snow,
yeah,
and that was fine, whatever. Like, but then the ice now, past 10 years of getting more and more of that. So anyway, yeah. Anyway, I don't know. You want to talk to me about that, but yeah, that's
so the first 7 inch that Harvest did was on Ferret, and then you guys switched over to Trustkill. How did Trustkill get involved with you guys?
so Josh and so Carl and Josh are close friends, and I was telling Ray this too, like this story a little bit, but Carl and I went to, like, I didn't know him, at first, but we went. He ended up going to the University of Minnesota the year I went there, the
Oh,
first
no
year.
kidding.
Yeah, and so we met that way, and I'm not sure we met I think we met on campus, or we met at a show. I don't know either. I don't exactly remember the very first time, but but my visions of him, like of Carl, are and we're great friends to this day, and it's awesome. And yeah, he was just starting Ferret. He had Converge,
Hmm.
petitioning the empty sky, thing, and then he got me my advanced copy of, I think, Firestorm,
Hmm.
because he was close, still to, he's doing all this stuff still out east,
Yeah,
like doing quite a bit of like um, music stuff and whatnot, and yeah, and Harvest was getting going, and or like later on, and so yeah, because he was like there part of the year, and then he I think he had left, but but then Harvest was just starting, and he knew that, and he's like, I want to, send me your demo when it's done. And so Harvest, by like the summer of like late spring, early summer of '94, we had the demo done, and we sent it to Carl, and Carl's like, I mean, with like, and again, mail,
yeah, yeah,
so like within a few days, after when he got the day he got it, I think he called me, and he's like, well, let's just we're doing this.
yeah,
And so yeah, and and so that did well, and people were into it, and it was different because it had so many odd influences for us. It was its own thing, but then it also had like, it had a more like kind of what I wouldn't call emo vibe, but it was definitely more like, um, yeah, it was definitely a time and place,
mm,
that record. And yeah, and then we met Josh at, I think it was the Cleveland Fest, the infamous one.
yeah. Oh,
Uh, yeah, and so Yes, because that would have been 95,
The
right?
infamous one with One Life Crew.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was side of the stage for that.
Oh, you
Like
were.
for part, yeah, as part of that one, because they had come on, and I was like right here, and then I was like just scooting myself out of there. So I was
Yeah.
like, don't need to get any part of that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I don't blame
um,
you.
yeah, that was my first time seeing Damnation,
Mm.
and that was the absolute highlight of my like that's one of the most memorable moments is seeing Damnation for the and at that time because they were just so amazing and
Mm.
so pummeling. And I just saw them a couple of years ago when the Bane last shows in Chicago.
Oh, no kidding.
Damnation came and played one of those, and I had seen them a few times since, like in
Yeah.
between that and that. But I was like, but they played like it was like watching in Cleveland again.
Wow.
Like
No kidding.
Mike, yeah, I mean Mike's voice was so good and so perfect, and like to this day, and I was like, holy fuck. So yeah, and I actually finally got to really like talk to him. I had never really talked to him all
Yeah.
these years. Like there's so many people that like now I'm actually meeting,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. Like that we'd been on a show together, or I'd seen them and been like, well, I shouldn't talk to them. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm not worthy. And like, yeah. So anyway, now I'm meeting them and it's great. So it's like, cause we're still all doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, and it's wonderful. I often text with Tom Sheehan and stuff, and it's just delightful. And Chris Logan and I are super close, and just a number of people that like I'm just grateful to and that will come to these like they'll come and see us play like Harvest reunion shows or whatever, and
Yeah.
hopefully now this new project when we're allowed to tour again and stuff. But yeah, I just man, yeah, I have no regrets whatsoever about getting involved, like loving and getting involved in this whole world, and now we're talking and like and so yeah, so thank you, and yeah, this is awesome. So
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I was stoked to hear that you could take the time out to talk to me. Like I said, Harvest was huge for me. I posted a picture of that show that you guys played at the Space. It was kind of far away on my page. I think you guys had played with. I think the bill was Black Army Jacket, ISIS, Barrett, you guys, and Dillinger Escape Plan was the headliner of that
yep.
show. And I took pictures of you guys, Barrett, and ISIS, and then of course I had like the disposable camera, and I only had like maybe 10 pictures in it. So, but it was great to see you guys back then, and like '97 for me when Living with the God Complex came out was so huge for me. It was like that, and Endeavor, Constructive Semantics, and also
Yeah.
Millhouse's Obscenity in the Milk. Those three albums in '97 were like in my tape deck at all times. And plus, you guys went on tour with Endeavor in '97, a U.S. tour.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How was that tour?
It was awesome. I mean, we couldn't have asked for a better band. Yeah, Endeavor blew me away. Like there was like it was hard to like certain bands like were so unique, and they were one of those. Like in just a raw energy, and yeah, and Mike's voice, holy fuck! Like just I'd never heard any, and he taught me to sing in Oakland. We were about to play, and I was like, "How do
Oh
you get
no,
your voice in shape?" Sorry, and like he's like, "You scream into your hand, and like you do all these things." And it was like it was awesome. He was anyway. That band and that tour was amazing, and I'm still I still communicate with a few people from that band regularly, and yeah, I loved them, and yeah, the tour was really good, and we would alternate like who would play last and all that bullshit. But
yeah,
like, but yeah, it was fun, and we got to go to a lot of places that we never thought we could, like Oakland, for instance, and I never played Gilman. I would have loved to have done that. That was one thing. Maybe we can with this band. If they're still around. It's hard with clubs. They're
yeah,
disappearing so fast, and
yeah.
who knows what the fallout will be from this? Like,
I know.
So again, it's still a ways out. So I don't know, but my hope is that can cross off some of those bucket list clubs
Yeah,
in
definitely.
the future and whatnot. But yeah, that tour was great, and Josh was amazing. I mean, I know, yeah, Josh got I think a lot of bad press in the 2000s and whatnot. I kind of got like in my ear, but like he was good to us, and yeah, I mean, we were super grateful just to be a Midwest band, to getting tours and getting to play some of the places we were got to play. I mean, Syracuse was like a second home for us.
Mm.
Like that was even, and I mean Chicago, of course, but like Syracuse was insane.
Yeah,
Like we would go, like it just felt at home. We got to know like all those bands, all those people, and just be exposed. And like, and one of my favorites is God Below, and that band is on my buck. Like, never got to see them,
yeah,
and like I can't watch a YouTube video of them because I imagine myself going to see them live play one day, and
yeah.
I'm probably like, I don't even like, I'm not even sure I know any of those people in that band specifically, but like anyway, Syracuse just was like the place for so much good stuff at that time. And Santa Sangre, and Blood Runs Black, I think it was,
Mm.
and Another Victim, of course, and yeah, just so many great projects and coming out of there. Of course, EC. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Syracuse. I feel like Syracuse doesn't have much of a scene anymore, though. That it was such a mecca of, obviously a straight edge, like city
yeah,
at that time because of Earth Crisis and the other bands. But I feel like their scene had kind of died down within the last 10 years or so. I talked to a few people from Syracuse, and they say that like not a lot of shows happen, and they have to travel either down to Albany or somewhere like that to see hardcore shows. So
mm,
I don't know what the scene is like there, but I kind of think it died down a little bit. Um,
yeah.
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. I think I was just trying to say is that I think, yeah, when we played there in 2012, I'm not sure if it was 11 or 12. We did the couple reunion tours and whatnot. 2012 was more extensive because that was like 17 shows. But mm, yeah, I feel like yeah, definitely had, yeah, there wasn't, I wasn't hearing about a lot of stuff going on at that time. And, I think it ebbs and flows, maybe with
Yeah.
university, maybe what, I don't know, like what it is, but yeah.
Yeah. Talking about Harvest again. What was some of the highlights of that tour? Like, do you remember some of the like epic shows that you guys played besides Syracuse? And what was some of the bands that you played with during that tour that kind of blew you away on the same bill that you played?
Are you talking about like which, like,
The '97 tour with Endeavor.
oh yeah, okay. Oh wow. You should have I should have
Send you the questions.
send me that question in advance, because I'm like, oh wow, like, I mean, I remember, yeah, I'm just trying to remember.
I mean, you guys played with everybody. Disembodied, like I said, Dillinger, ISIS. You guys played with everybody. I mean, Converge. Like,
Yeah, I mean, one of the bands we played with that I loved, the Silent Majority.
mm,
Yeah, and they were like they were an incredible band, but then just like that they drew some really incredible people, and I think at that time like there was a lot more discourse between bands and people, and I feel like there isn't as much of that. I mean, I don't know on the periphery, but like some bands probably are more like into that than
mm,
others. But like we talked about a lot of shit. Like we would like not just like, hey, where's the great place to eat, but like we would just get down to it and like talk about like what was bothering people, like what was fucked up, like what was going on in their life and stuff like that. I remember talking to this kid in Syracuse for like hours, about how hard his life was going on at the time and stuff like that. And I know you can't always do that, but like it was, I feel like that's part of it. That's the
mm,
community. It's way more than and like, not to quote unquote that fast, but more than music. Like
yeah,
it is it is a lifestyle, and it is a way of of thinking. It's a way of thinking differently, and it's a way of always challenging, like, what's going on. And like, I feel like that's why I'm still here, especially now. Like, I can't. Now we need to fucking change the dialogue more than ever, and we need to become. We need to become like activists and protesters every fucking minute of every day in order to, like, because shit's not going to change if we don't. And we if we can use our platform to somehow enable others to do that, or give them, or have this empower, like, feel empowered to also to realize that, you know, they're not alone. And that's the thing about punk. It's what's so amazing is that, like, no matter how you felt, you could always have a safe space, and that's what it should be.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not. And I don't mean just like violence at shows, whatever. That bullshit you can always avoid, but like, sometimes, but not always. But just like the mentality about hardcore punk was always about, for me anyway, and this is just my opinion, was just simply about the ability to think differently, to hear all sides of an argument, and to form your own opinion and not be fucking judged for it.
Yeah.
And like, that to me that's the passion of it. And you know, to find friendships with other lost souls, you know, like, I mean, because that's what it was for me. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I was going to live past 30. I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do. Yeah. But I knew in that moment, every time, I had an ally somewhere in that space.
Yeah.
I had a safe space to be. So, and that meant the world to me. So, I don't even know what I'm answering, or if I'm even answering anything, but like, anyway, that's what it is. And so if I hearken back to the days back then, I think about like, we got to play with a lot of great bands, and a lot of bands that at the time became big bands, which is kind of awesome. And like Dillinger Escape Plan, for instance, like, I had no idea they propel off and become what they did, and what they are, rather. And so, like, you know, it's awesome. Cave In, for instance, didn't know they'd be like the next fucking stadium band, like, you know, or like, had the trajectory to do that. Like, I knew super talented, but a lot of super talented bands go by the wayside, or, you know, or disappear. And you never know. And so, who you're going to see, and if it's the last time you're going to see them, especially in punk. Yeah. Band, you know, they come and go, and there's a few bands that if you can keep a band alive as long as Bane, wow, like a career band. Yeah. Like,
it's just like Converge. Yeah. I mean, Converge is still going. It's in Cave In. I mean, those two bands are still going. It's crazy. Definitely.
And still 100,000% relevant. Everything they do is like, it's like, okay, that's awesome.
That's and Converge hasn't really switched up their formula either, and it's still as heavy hitting as it ever has been.
Yeah, exactly. Energy levels, everything, and I think that's just because, like, their commitment to always being, there's just commitment to staying in it, and like, and giving it their all, and like, just choosing that life. You know, like, that's awesome. Yeah, I never myself kind of got into music for that, ever to become a career, or ever thought about that. I always liked to do it because it was something I needed to do. But I think that was a switch that pulled, and why I like left Harvest, and why it was like, because I think we were reaching a plateau at that time, and it's kind of getting gnarly out here. It's going to start raining on me pretty soon. What's the time, by the way?
It's 6:45 right now.
Okay, cool.
Well, in the east.
Yeah. No, I understand. Anyway, but it was like the pivotal point. Like, it was either going to become like, this is all I do, or, or I got to balance this with something else.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And so that was kind of like the tipping point for me, was like, okay, this is cool. And, obviously there's more we could have done and stuff. But it would have been like, I think at the time we were going to graduate to something else, and I didn't know what that was. And that was kind of scary. So we were looking at some, larger like labels and stuff at that time.
Yeah.
And I was like, so getting cold feet, whatever. And
Yeah.
yeah, so
But I
who
mean,
knows?
the
Yeah.
last stuff you guys put out was like some of the heaviest stuff you guys ever put out. I mean, one step closer than the last. That 4-song EP is like so heavy. Um, I mean, I love Living with a God Complex, but that one step closer than the last EP to me is like those 4 songs are like legendary. When Epicure, I heard that, and I won't let you neglect your fate. That like anthem, you know what I mean? It just
Mm-hmm.
hooked me. And then when I heard you guys broke up, I was crushed, because like that shit, those 4 songs were so fucking good. And then I'm like, oh my God, they broke up. And like I said, you kind of explained it, but to a fan that loved you guys, it was kind of crushing for me to hear that you guys because I think that was like the best stuff that you guys had ever written. I mean, like I said, I love Incision. When Waterfall hit me the first time, I put the record player on, and Waterfall hit me, I was hooked like 100%. But like I said, those last 4 songs that you did, and then Transitions, kind of, you put all the older songs on that release.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys did the 2011 release as well. But just like for me, it was epic, that time frame. And like I said, that 4-song EP was probably the 4 most favorite songs of Harvest for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, thanks. Thanks. I appreciate that. That's great. Um,
Did you feel
yeah,
like you guys were writing that was the strongest stuff you had written at that time, because like maybe things were starting to fall out and stuff like that? Or do you think the
no,
earlier stuff was more together for you guys?
yeah, I mean, I'd say Incision's my favorite thing, like
Mhm.
as far as like like for me personally, vocally. And then the second thing was the One Step Closer 7-inch. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, and what else was I going to say about that? No, I think, yeah, I have no idea what would have come after that. Like, I really, really don't know for sure what would have happened. But yeah, I think people were, I think some of the, band was getting a little anxious to kind of like move on. I know you're
Yeah.
going to talk to, I know you're going to talk to Dan soon. So, next month maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he can probably give you better context into like their mindset at that time. And again,
What do you
uh,
mean? Just like branching out into like different avenues of hardcore and punk? People
well,
were
no,
kind of,
no, not that per se, but like at about that time,
yeah.
because Dan and Jonas and Adam all left, to move to Boston to be the HopeCon.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a gift to everyone, because that band is fucking amazing
Yeah.
too.
So good.
And so yeah, so anyway, I was gonna say is that like I think that my take on that time is mine, and and Dan may have a different perspective, but essentially, it was, and Eric was like, he could have gone either way, I think.
Yeah.
But he has, he went off to go do, he's a typographer. He makes like typefaces for like pretty much everything that we use.
Yeah.
So he's a brilliant designer and typeface designer too. And so yeah, and so he left to go do that. I was in design as well, just different, like more of the like traditional graphic design,
Yeah.
and which I still like essentially do a flavor of it now, all these years later. But anyway, yeah. So Eric was not going to go with them per se, but he would have stayed and done Harvest with us, with the rest of us, if I'd said, you know, if I'd said, let's just keep going.
Yeah. And
So
so whose idea in 2011, with when you guys got back together and recorded Years of Defiance and Years of Disgust, like Like, whose idea was that to get back together and record some new songs and put out a 7-inch?
That I don't even know whose idea that was per se, but I do know the impetus for that came from conversations from between Dan, myself, and Jim Grimes in out of Chicago. Do you know Jim?
I don't know, Jim. No.
Okay, yeah, he was the vocalist in an awesome band called Extinction out of Chicago, and highly recommend them. But anyway, yeah. So I think he was like, you guys should do it. You guys should like do a show
Yeah.
or something, and then and the next thing you know, it spirals, and we're like, okay, I guess we were all in a place where we felt like we could make it happen for the most part. But then obviously it wasn't the Harvest everybody knew, and so we got Adam to record with us, but he didn't tour with us.
Yeah.
And so, we got Remus from this band called Sweet Cobra, if you know them.
No, I don't. I've never.
Okay, yeah, they're awesome too. They're from Chicago. Anyway, so he's the bass player and singer of that band, but he also is an amazing drummer. He plays drums in a band called The Killer out of Chicago, and an actual like a real hardcore band.
Yeah.
Sweet Cobra is more of that, like, sounds more like Doom Riders.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But what I was going to say was that, and then we got John, who I'd played with in the band called The Good Fight.
Yep.
So, and it's funny in your list of bands talking about me, that was one of the bands you put, because that is one of the bands I rarely hear about. We didn't play much. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe or whatever. We didn't
play out. You mean?
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't Krakatoa you guys didn't play out. Did you play one show or two shows with Krakatoa?
No, we played quite a few shows, but before we released any music per se, we had a demo tape,
Well, yeah.
which most people haven't heard. Some people have,
Yeah.
and I can see that my friend Justin Kane is on here now. You know Justin? Yeah, you know that name?
Justin Kane.
Yeah.
Sounds
So he's watching this live right now because I can see his hands, and he says, and he was the drummer of one of my other first bands, Rain and Pillar.
Oh.
And then also Disembodied.
Oh, no kidding. Nice.
Yep.
Nice. Now,
And
was
so
that, did I read somewhere that you, Dan, and him you guys made a band, but it kind of fizzled out?
Yeah. So it's a project that we tentatively call it City of God, and it's it's really hard to pin down what exactly it is. It's heavy, but it's got a lot of room for exploration. I would say and I ask Dan, I guess, maybe what he thinks
Yeah.
of it. It's still going. It's still a project.
Yeah.
But Justin, myself, and Dan, and our friend Kevin, and we all recorded that, and back in 2005 we did a few recordings or whatnot.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like fell by the wayside, and now Dan, like in 2015, they actually recorded five songs, and so I have yet to do vocals, and there's one guitar player that needs to put the guitar down, so it's guitar and vocals left on it.
Yeah.
And we have to decide which mix we want, but yeah, that's still a relevant thing that's going to happen.
Oh, nice. Now,
Yeah.
did those songs never saw the light of day back in 2005? They kind of just got put on the back burner for.
Yeah, exactly.
Will we hear those once you guys put out something newer?
Yeah, you'll hear that stuff. You'll hear, and then in 2015, we're still formulating like kind of the lineup. But in 2015, I'm trying to think if the lineup varied at all. Well, in 2015, the drumming on this record is done by Sean Lipinski, who is, of course, my friend from Holding On and now Sunset. So, and so he is playing drums on that. And so I think we're probably going to pivot the lineup a little bit and hopefully Justin's up for, playing drums on this, if we can play live and whatnot. So, but anyway, yeah, we're that's a whole thing. We're working on it, and it's kind of like an ongoing thing. But Dan is in Brazil, and so it's nice to have these kind of like long-term projects we can kind of send back and forth and work on and stuff, even though and still feel close to each other like that. So,
When do you
so
think
there's
the music will come out? Like, do you think the music will come out like in 2021 or 2022 after you put the vocals and the other guitar parts?
yeah, I'm gonna say these days it's gonna be another year before that stuff sees the light of day. To be honest, like and I know that currently. The Sunset within Sunset, we want to write an LP, and we're in that process now. And that's going to be, that's kind of one of the top things on my list of to dos. And then the second thing is I'm working with Rob from Union and Chris Logan, and we're also working on a recording project right now. So Chris and I will sing on this thing
nice.
together. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. I mean, I love that new Sunset EP. It's so good. Sunset Destroyer, right? That's the name of the EP.
Yep.
It's what surprised me is it's so heavy. It's really really heavy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
good.
Visceral gave me like almost like a chaotic-y, convergy style like heaviness to it, which like kind of surprised me because I thought it was gonna sound harvesty, maybe Krakatoa, like with the more metally rock parts, but this shit is heavy, like really heavy, and I was blown away by it. And I not that I don't love Krakatoa, it's just something different, you know what I mean? But this this is really really heavy, and your vocals sound like really like crazy.
Awesome. Good. Well, it took a long time to kind of get there and figure out, and I think the LP is going to be way more like buttoned up and refined in the sense of like me just figuring out like what works from the EP, because this is a new this is none of this is like my whole love of Sunset especially is that it doesn't sound like anything else I've ever done.
No, definitely.
It's not like, and I don't want people to go, oh, this isn't Harvest or whatever. Like I want it to stand on its own. I want it to have its own legs. I don't want it to be about me at all. I want it to just be about the band and about the message mostly, and about our and about, again, harken back to like what I said before about like discourse and things like that, and like just really hopefully prompting people to think and find and really take stock in what they have, and maybe they'll hopefully use what they have to create better spaces for people who don't have those things and have anything, and just I want, this is really a mission for me, and I'm an introvert. It's really hard for me to go out there into the world, and so like the music for me is the way I can.
Yeah, it's like your outlet.
It has to be, because like I'm just I unfortunately get crippled sometimes by like anxiety and all of that stuff, and it hasn't it's I have to overcome a lot in order to kind of get out into the space, and even just to play shows. If I take these off, I'm blind, so it's perfect. I don't.
With you. With you.
I mean, and again, these are like the fucking four-focal, like these. I need every single inch of this to see anything.
Yeah.
And like so. So anyway, long story short is that this is like, it's super important for me, and that this band stands on its own legs, and that I'm just along for, I'm just a supporting cast, and because like a lot of times, and I like it because I like it. A lot of people will say, "Hey, whoa, that I didn't even know you were in this. Like that didn't sound like you."
I was gonna say, if somebody heard that band, they wouldn't be like, "Oh, Dave's in that band." Like I would never like. That's why I think it definitely stands. That's why I think it definitely stands on its own legs, because it's something totally like different
Hmm.
than what you've been doing in the past, which I love. Like I said, it's so heavy. I was like taken back by and surprised how heavy it was, and I love it.
Awesome.
I think the four songs are really, really, really good. So
Thank you.
um, I think, and it sucks. I know you guys played one show and then COVID hit, and so that kind of, threw the wrench in the works of stuff like that. You must be itching to get uh, on stage and play live again.
You have no idea. Yeah, I mean, we it was such an amazing first show to play too. I mean, it was a fundraiser for a shelter, a hotel shelter that had burned. A lot of people were displaced, and we raised, and you know, the whole thing was a benefit. We raised a bunch of money with that show to do to you know to help them, to help people in that space, and you know, so it was a great way of, like, again, collectively, as a scene, supporting. And it was an all local show, and it was like 60 or more over capacity, and
Mm.
so it was like just people showing up was everything,
Yeah,
um, and showing up for the community, showing up for each other, um, and, and anyway, so the point being is that, like, we want to do more of that. We want to we want to play. Not only do we want to play the songs, but we also want to give back as much as we possibly can, and you know, and just help, and promote awareness around, you know, certain issues and things like that, especially in our community. And you know, obviously we're a hot button of the news these days. So, well, we have been. We're always in. It's always in there somewhere. But anyway, but yeah, we've got a number of, like, tour kind of, we've got a number of, like, kind of things in the periphery, hopefully, that will happen
yeah.
when it's safe to say. But we definitely want to go to Europe. We definitely want to go, you know, around as much as we can, and here, and you know, we'll likely we'll have to, because a lot of us are older, have children or whatnot. We have to definitely do it strategically, but we're very much into. Definitely want to tour. Definitely want to play out, and as much as we possibly can. And yeah, so, but very excited for the new record too. I think the new songs are, like, if you think this is heavy, yeah, it's going to get heavier. And
Oh,
I'm
really? No
super,
kidding.
yeah,
Nice, nice.
yeah.
I mean, I think it's a testament to you that you've been in bands for this long and you still have the fire that burns inside you to do hardcore. I think, hats off to you for still doing it. I was in bands, 10 years. Nothing huge, just regular bands around New Hampshire and Massachusetts. Um, but like I said, it's really a testament that your longevity in this community, and you're still going. And what's your process of still going, and like your vocals, like, because when I got older, my vocals, it was harder for me. I think I was screaming from the neck and not my diaphragm, so I kind of
Yeah.
blew out my vocals. But your vocals sound just as heavy as they ever have. What's the process, aging and still doing what you're doing now?
For me, it's always been about kind of having balance of physical activity and then I meditate a lot too. And, like, for some odd reason, that really helps with breath, mindful breath meditation and things like that. I know it sounds kind of like whatever, but, like, it's for me really, really important. It also just important for my anxiety, and for my, like, stress levels and things like that, to do that. But, like, I think we should all take a breath, but it's really hard sometimes to think you cannot find the time,
Yeah.
way life is these days, and how it overworks you and like, indexes everything. But that, and, like, I don't know, like, for some odd reason, there are days when it clicks and days when it doesn't. And I one of the worst things is recording. And so I'm glad that the recording sounds the way it does. It took a lot of work for me to get there
Yeah.
with my voice, because, like, I have to work my way up into it, and I have to kind of find that sweet spot. And then when I know it's there, then I'm just like, okay, press record just quickly, because otherwise that shit's gonna fade fast. And, like,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like in some of the Harvest shows, like, it just takes longer. Like you said, like, it's just with age, it just takes a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But there are, I'm doing what I can, and I just try to take care of myself. And and whatnot to kind of get that. But I understand that the window's closing. So it'll close eventually. But like, yeah, I'll fucking do it till the end.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I love to hear that. Definitely. I struggle with migraines and TMJ from screaming so much that like I'm always in awe of people our age still doing it. Oh, Mike Olander just popped in.
Hey, Mike. I love you, Mike.
I talked to Mike a little while ago too. That was a great talk.
Oh yeah.
Mike's such a great guy, and like I said, and you said, Endeavor is such a fucking awesome band, and Burnt by the Sun is amazing too. So
Yeah.
everything that he's done is blown me away too. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike's. Yeah. Like. Yeah. I like when. He's my little. He's my guiding light. I swear. Yeah. His voice, and so we've got to play a Burnt by this. One of the Harvest shows in 2011 was Burnt by the Sun reunion, and
No kidding.
and that was like what the.
Yeah.
It was
Damn.
incredible.
What city was that in?
That was Webster Hall,
Oh, Webster Hall.
the studio Webster Hall. So they're like basement club.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, no
And,
kidding. Ooh.
yeah, it was amazing. So that show was phenomenal. So yeah, it was so much fun to see him like, and because I hadn't seen that band. I'd seen the other one. So that was my first time seeing Burnt by the Sun. I'm a Burnt by the Sun fan, but I have all the records, but I'd never seen him live.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, but his band before that one,
Um,
Post Endeavor, what was that? Starts with a T, I think.
um,
Oh wait,
well, I know he was in For the Love of, or
that one.
that
That
one.
one. Yes. Yeah, that's the band. Yeah, and so they played I think the same day we did it. This is Hardcore in 2018.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. I think they did. Yeah, that's right.
yeah, and so that was awesome to see them again. So, and I'd seen them before in the 2000s or whatever it was, but yeah, so it was super cool.
Yeah, Mike's great. Mike is so great. Um, I don't want to take too much of your time, so usually at the end I throw some rapid fire questions at everybody I talk to.
Oh shit. Okay.
So I'll start off. Number one, favorite New England punk or hardcore band for you all time.
Fuck. You know what? I'm Gangrene.
Mm, that's a good one. That is a good. That is a good.
Yeah.
The funny thing about Gangrene, I've seen them, in punk and hardcore shows, but they actually opened for Ozzy played up here in Kingston, New Hampshire, and it was outside at a Kingston Fairgrounds type of thing, and it was
Yeah.
Ozzy, Queensryche, Raven, I forget who else, but Gangrene opened, and everybody fucking hated them because it was,
Oh yeah.
because it was, they were so like out of place on that show, and the singer mooned the crowd and was like flicking everybody off and stuff like that. But it was amazing. I love Gangrene, and it was just so weird to see them open up for Ozzy of all people, which was
Yeah.
crazy. That's just a funny Gangrene story I had.
Yeah. And this yeah, you mentioned a bunch of great bands in that one. Yeah, because I had trying to remember, but I have the This Is Boston, Not LA comp, which is fucking incredible.
Yeah, that's so good. That is so good.
Yeah, my brother got me that one. I was super young when he got me that, and that was like, I heard, yeah, and then I heard Gangrene through a couple other. Well, I got one of the tapes, and then I have Older Budweiser, which I thought was the fucking funniest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah.
They were just like all about having fun, and I was like, yes, I need this. Like sometimes you just kind of like, I can do all the heavy, like weird, dark shit I want in my own project, but I want to hear something fun right now. And they always made me smile. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Those guys in Murphy's Law always make me smile with the stuff.
Oh, Murphy's Law for sure. Yeah. Awesome.
Nice. My second question: what was the first punk hardcore show you attended?
I think it was a band called Blind Approach, local band, in 1985 at the First Avenue. It was like a small side club called the 7th Street Entry, but yeah.
And did that open your eyes once you saw that, or?
Yeah, I mean, it was just like, because it was small, and it was a like dance, like it was just like a really really like small venue, and the way people danced, and I got in there and got to do it,
Yeah.
and I was like, and I was like, this is awesome. Like, yeah, it was just, yeah, I totally got hurt, but like, but it felt right.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Just like the energy alone, and did you play sports in high school and in junior high at all?
I played baseball. Yeah, I liked baseball and I liked tennis. The two kind of odd sports, but yeah, I played them and yeah, I enjoyed them. And but I was super into skateboarding too, so it was really hard. So I was
Yeah,
really conflicted. I was a weird one, and there weren't many skateboarders in our school. So like, because it was like rural, in the late '80s. So it's like, yeah, what the fuck, you're a skateboarder and you like. But then I was like cool enough because I was still on playing baseball, and so I didn't get punched. But like, I,
yeah. I just asked because it seemed like in the late '80s, a lot of the jocks came into the scene. Um, at least up in the East Coast. And I was just
mm-hmm.
wondering, so some people went from that, and some people, like you said, were skateboarders that kind of bridged the gap into hardcore and punk too. And I just didn't know if you were a sports guy before you got into hardcore and punk.
No, I was, and and probably I was way more into cycling and skateboarding and stuff like that. So I'd go on like 100-mile bike rides with my dad and stuff like that. So that was like my jam. Like I really love being on two wheels, and
Yeah.
I'm just learning how to ride a motorcycle this year. So
Oh,
it's kind
nice.
of fun. Yeah,
Be careful. Be careful.
I know.
All right, my next question. All-time favorite punk hardcore show you played? Or it could be a couple because you've been in so many bands. Just give me maybe 2, 3 of the all-time favorite ones that meant the most to you.
Okay, I got two. One is I played a show in Northfield at Seckler Park, and it was all our friends at that time. And like I said, the feeling at that time, and it was with this band Pillar, and we played outside in a park, and I think we played with maybe Standpoint, which was another great local Southern Minnesota band from Waseca, and they were awesome, and they. But anyway, yeah, it was this outdoor park, and I think there's pictures of me like grilling veggie burgers outside, but like kids were just like running around, skating in the back. But then they were like,
Okay.
there was a pit, and like we were just playing, and we didn't, and it was just nobody like no, it was just such a community. Like it was like just a backyard party, but the way that it felt was so good. And I'll never forget that time. I think it was my birthday too. I always like to do shows on my birthday. That was my thing. I just liked it because that was a way I'd want to celebrate. I want to celebrate with my friends. I want to celebrate playing music.
Yeah.
And that was always what it was to me. And I wanted everybody to be there, and I wanted everybody to have a good time. And so by having this band, we could provide the soundtrack, if you will.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. And everybody just kind of like let go, and it was our chance to fucking let go, because the rest of the time we were just oppressed with other shit. So and then the last Harvest show in '99. I mean, um, that was probably mind blowing. That was the most mind blowing thing, because people travel from all over the world to go to that one. I think there were around 3,000 people there for that. Something like that. I don't know. Like
Who was on the lineup that your last show?
So it was Bane, Disembodied, Nora, Holding On. Am I forgetting anybody? Forgetting anything? I know Justin Kane's on here. I can't remember. What is the other band that played that? I think Code 13 might have played that. Loved Code 13. Anyway,
That's a lineup right there for sure.
yeah, but having Bane and Nora come for that was like fucking, like, that was amazing. And Bane I think drove just out for that,
Yeah.
and then drove right back home, or maybe played one more show on their way back. But they were this Bane still, and I'm very close to most of them still. And I yeah, they're just the dearest
Yep.
dearest humans, and that they would come all the way out to play with us. And we played one of their first shows out in, I think it was in the Space.
Oh, no
Uh,
kidding.
yeah, yeah, we played one of Bane's first shows, so not maybe their first, but one of their first, I think.
Yeah.
And so we've been friends ever since. So yeah, awesome.
Well, I know you played with Barrett a couple times. Zach's old band.
Yeah, yeah, we did.
Barrett. I love that Barrett LP that they put out. That album is so good, so crushing, and still to this day is still relevant to me for sure.
hmm One of the bands that I was going to say that really killed me, and I mentioned this on Ray's podcast, and you probably saw it, was the band from the East Coast, Dive.
Oh yeah, Dive. Yes, yes.
And that band, like certain records, like I was like, why isn't this band the biggest band ever? And but at that time, it was like probably obscure, went under the radar, maybe wasn't on a record label that like got a lot of like. I think it was like on a record label that looked like Revelation, but it wasn't. It was out of Rhode Island or something, and
Yeah,
I think it was called.
I think they fell under the radar really because they should have been bigger than what they were around here.
Mm-hmm.
They were really under the radar. A lot of people loved them, and they just never got talked about as much as they should have been.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah, that was one of those bands I was just like, this is amazing. I gotta. Yeah. Anyway, I digress, but yeah, that was what I just wanted to. I always want to throw Dive in there because I think they're like they never got their due.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I agree. My next question: all-time favorite punk hardcore show you attended, like that you watched and were blown away.
Let me see. Fuck, that's a hard one. But I was going to say seeing Resurrection at New Hope Music Festival in Madison, Wisconsin, 1994, and that band, like Rob's vocals, like there are certain vocalists to me, and they're iconic, and like, and that was probably one of the craziest times I've ever. And then because Strife played, a bunch of bands that played that I wanted to see, and then this band I was in called Rain also played that fest too, which we were very fortunate to get on. But I was just there to see all the others.
Yeah.
I was like, this show's fine, like, and I was still new to playing shows, but like, and it was in front of a lot of people, but getting the chance to see, like, for the very first time, so many of these bands that everybody was like in all these zines and things like that, and I was like, oh my god, like,
yeah.
But Resurrection, man, there was nothing better than that at the time for me. So I was like, that was a game changer. It was like seeing Groundwork for the first time. Groundwork was also like, and in our local spot was probably the greatest, one of the great highlights of my life too. So yeah.
What about when you were into heavy metal? What was the greatest heavy metal show you saw back in the day?
The one that I can probably like grab a hold of the most, well, two of them. I have got two because I can't go Monsters of Rock, '88, and then Cannibal Corpse. Because that was at a local place called the Mirage, which got closed. But yeah, because oh my god, because I got into that stuff too, like and like Entombed and Death, and I was into a lot of that stuff. I was pretty picky about it, but like Cannibal Corpse was one of those fucking. That band was like that scared me so much, and live, like he's like, does anybody here have a knife? And then he pulls out a fucking huge knife. I've got a knife, and it's just like, you're like, what is this? Is this that like, what's that old movie? Like, who here's got, like, what's his name? The Australian actor who's like, anyway, there's some Australian actor who said something similar to that,
Oh,
But
you're
then,
talking about Crocodile Dundee.
yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but it's this,
When he pulls out that knife, yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it's the singer of Cannibal Corpse saying it, and everybody's waving knives in the air, and I'm like, oh my god, this is the single most scary moment of a fucking show, is because like not only does the singer have a huge fucking knife, everybody else does. So it was hilarious, man. It was just like,
Oh, that's awesome. That's
yeah.
amazing.
So I was like, yeah, that's okay, that's awesome. So
Wow.
yeah.
I'm a huge movie guy, so I always ask this. What was the last movie you watched?
Jesus, man, that's a hard one. Oh no, it's not. I think it's the last movie I watched. Sorry, I was again. I need to like. That's a quick answer. I think the last movie of memory that was really truly memorable was Mirani. Oh, I'm sorry. No, Minari. It's got Glenn from Walking Dead in it.
Oh,
It's
oh,
an yeah. It's about um, it's supposed to be set in, I think, in Georgia, where where there's an Asian couple that's moving from that just moves in and buys a bunch of land,
mhm.
and 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 then they get and it's just about their life kind of establishing in like rural America
Yeah,
and what it's like, and then and their mother comes from Korea and lives with them and stuff, and yeah, it's just a really enchanting tale. So I don't know what I'm saying, but yeah,
yeah,
that's.
yeah. What is that on? Where did you watch
Oh,
it? Was that on Hulu?
oh, we bought it.
Oh, you bought
We streamed it from like I think it was.
it?
Well, it was one of those. No, it was one of those things through their production company. You could it was like going to a movie, but you could rent it through. You could like it was like you bought tickets to see it,
Oh, no
but
kidding.
then you streamed it,
Streamed
and
it.
it's up. Yeah, I know it's up for an Oscar and or a couple
Oh, no
Oscars and
kidding.
stuff.
Yeah, I'll have to watch
Yeah.
that. But like I said, I try to watch anything that I'm always trying to watch new movies. I don't really try to watch movies that I've already seen, so I'm always
Mm-hmm.
looking for something new. Uh,
Sure.
my next question: favorite all time horror movie for you?
Amityville, maybe. That's probably one of the ones that stuck with me the most. Um, and The Omen. Yeah, it's between The Omen or Amityville. Yeah, those two were like those just messed me up.
Yeah, yeah. I think mine are maybe the first Texas Chainsaw, um,
Oh,
and
yeah,
I'm trying to think, and obviously I love The Shining, even though the books, very different, kind of. I still love The Shining. So,
mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great one too. Yeah,
um,
that's a tough one because yeah, I have to really dig deep
there's
for
so many
that.
good like classic ones. It's tough to
Yeah,
pick. You know what I mean?
yep.
Definitely tough to pick. Um, Speaking of horror movies, have you watched any newer ones that like you gravitated towards? I know it's tough because, like I said before, I'm so sick of ghost stories where the family stays in the house, they see something creepy, they're like, "No, let's just stay there. It's your imagination."
Mm-hmm.
It's been done so many times. Is there any newer movies in the past like 10 years that you've seen that you felt that it was worthy to watch?
I think the movies that are like really there's kind of this later trend of movies like
Oh, Hereditary.
Hereditary, yes,
Yeah,
that one.
yeah, yeah,
And I haven't seen Midsummer yet, but I have a feeling that one will easily tear me apart.
yeah. It's
Um,
actually not like for me, in my opinion. I like Hereditary a lot better than I like Midsummer.
okay,
It Midsummer is like really really long. It's almost 3 hours long, and there's some drag to it. I mean, the story's really good. It's just it didn't hit me as much as Hereditary did. I think when you speak of Hereditary, I think that's the best horror movie in the past 10 years by far for me.
yeah, yeah,
Definitely.
I would say so because it was the one with the most surprise. Like it was just the one that was like and it was just slow. It was a slow burn, and you're like,
Yeah.
and when you're done, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
what? It just yeah, it really messes you up, and you're like, okay, that's proper. So yeah.
Yeah. Um, I was gonna say if you haven't seen Possessor last year, Brandon Cronenberg, David Cronenberg's son, put out a movie called Possessor. I recommend that if you haven't seen that. That's a really,
Okay.
really, really good movie. Like really different, smart writing and well acted. I think you really enjoy that. If Possessor comes up, I don't know if you have Hulu, but it's on Hulu right now. So
Okay.
okay, I digress too. I'll keep going. I got two more
Okay.
questions. Um, I'm a big hip hop guy too. I love hardcore and punk, but I'm also a big hip hop guy, especially '90s hip hop. If you've been listening to any hip hop, what have you been listening to, whether old or new?
Yeah. Let me think. I mean, we have in our city the Doomtree Collective.
Mm,
If you're familiar, but I really personally love Dessa, and she's part of that.
yeah,
But obviously she's she's got her old standalone records and whatnot. But yeah, we saw the Doomtree about a year and a half ago or so, and it was brilliant, and like that's yeah, so that was really good. Dessa's probably one of my top in that space that I really, really like. Um, yeah, to be honest, I don't know a whole lot. I mean, I know certain things when I hear them, but like you know, uh, I don't follow some of that stuff. And I did. There's another young person who I like from St. Paul called Dem Atlas.
mm,
And he's got an incredible voice. He's like only 21 or 22 or something
it,
like that, and yeah, so he's really great. And but Dessa for sure is kind of like up there for me. So
yeah.
yeah,
The back in the day, were you listening to like Public Enemy and NWA and stuff like that, or was it kind of you were just into the hardcore thing back then, listening wise?
no, yeah, no, we listened to a lot of that. Again, there were friends of mine who probably gravitated towards it more than I did.
Mm,
So yeah, but a lot of that stuff I would hear um, just through friends and whatnot, and they'd have it in their car stereo, and they'd be like, "Oh, what's this?"
yeah,
Like Wu Tang, what? So
yeah.
yeah,
All right. My next question: favorite song you like to play live? Let's go Harvest. What was the favorite Harvest song you like to play live?
I loved like in its day, it was either Virtue or Ahimsa,
Mm,
and because there are times when people got to know Ahimsa, that was like even more endemic than to like local audiences, like to local shows that we play here.
yeah,
That was like the one that like a lot of people would kind of like a lot of people would sing along to that, and I really loved that because that song lyrically to me was super important, and and it was great that people were grabbing onto it in a way. And that meant a lot to me. Virtue was just all about having fun,
yeah,
but and then again Epicure, like
yeah. I mean
I knew.
that's the live Epicure is unbelievable. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
guys
that
had a lot of that stuff. The Right of the Damned with Liar, you fucking liar, like that stuff. That stuff just is so great to me. And just hearing everybody sing those lyrics and
yeah.
stuff like that. Same thing with Covenant too. At the end, that long, like kind of drawn out, let me down, let me
Oh yeah,
let me go free. I love that shit. That shit is so heavy, and I just feel like you guys had so many good sing along parts, like in Harvest. It was just incredible.
thank you. Yeah, that means a lot to Broad Covenant. That's like a deep cut. Yeah,
But at the end, it's just so heavy with the, you know
yeah,
what I mean? When it's drawn out a little bit, it's just your vocals are like that part at the end. Oh, that gets me every time.
yeah. I liked. denounce too,
Mm.
because the beginning of part one, I go, I feel so fucking worthless,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
what?
that hooked me right off the like right that first song when Living with the Complex came out, and I heard those lyrics, I was like, oh my god, this album is awesome.
Thanks, man. Thank you. That means a lot. Like, yeah, I was super, super. Yeah, that album is a lot of stuff went into that. Like
Mm.
a lot of like a lot of different feelings went into that record. So
Yeah, I mean
as you can tell.
the lyrics are so good in that too. If people just let um, read the lyrics and have the booklet still, there's so many like real emotional lyrics in there. You know what I mean, and feelings.
Hmm. Yeah, that especially like um, I think, and I think that's why I was like, why I loved Ahimsa so much was because the the idea to that was so like almost paying homage to where I'd come in music too,
Mm.
but also just like, but it was, you can almost tell the sensibilities that went into that because, who was huge at that time was 108,
Mm.
had released Holy Name not too long before that, and was probably, there was some influence of that
Yeah.
in that too at the same time. And man, 108 just fucking, I mean, like, I still couldn't get through some of it, like from a content perspective,
Yeah.
but I was, but the way it was delivered, fuck,
Yeah.
like, and Rob's just like, just his emotion that he pours into everything he does, like it's incredible. And so like, just grateful to ever get to share the stage with him. Like we did one time it was Krakatoa's last show, Threadbare's first show, 108 in Shelter,
Wow. Wow. No
and
kidding.
in a small town in Minnesota called Mankato, and it's just, or smaller,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, it's like shows like that,
Wow.
yeah, it was an incredible night. So
Wow.
yeah.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous of that lineup right there. God, that sounds so good. Now, was there a lot of people documenting these shows? Is there
Yeah,
a lot of stuff on YouTube that you can see the stuff?
there is. I don't think there's much of Krakatoa. I can't for the life of me remember if there's ever any Krakatoa footage because we only played for a couple of years,
Yeah.
like live shows, and then we did recordings for Dan and Second Nature for those two records. But so I don't know if there's any footage of Krakatoa out there, but I would be curious to see that. I'd probably grimace, but I'd be curious because it doesn't sound like those records, because those records are newer, and
Yeah.
because that was just at a different time, and different time for me vocally,
Yeah.
because I had done Pillar before, but then Krakatoa was it, and then Rain was there,
Yeah.
and then Harvest started, and that became kind of all I did for 7 years. So yeah, um, I don't know. Krakatoa though, I am releasing the vinyl this year for the LP.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so it's under the same, moniker. I'm working with Dan on that, but I got the rights to do it. So
Oh,
because
nice.
it had only been released on CD, and
Yeah.
so I thought maybe we'll do a small run of 100 or so of that record. So because
That's
I
awesome.
did,
That's awesome.
I
I
did,
feel like a lot of things were just released on CD back in that time frame. Definitely.
yeah. I mean, it was cheaper. It was a way, and we were happy. We were gracious to get
Yeah.
anything put out there. Like, and Dan was, and anything Second Nature touches is gold.
Yeah.
Like anything Dan does, he does with the utmost care. So yeah, it was a big deal. So yeah. Anyway, I do need to probably jet to make some food.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for taking time,
yeah,
Dave. I really appreciate it. This was awesome talking to you. Let's stay in touch.
please, yeah.
And it was great to meet you, and it's great to talk to you. And I want to thank you again for taking time out to do this.
Absolutely, absolutely, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. It was wonderful to meet you, and yeah, please keep in touch. You as well.
All right. Have a good night.
Okay, thanks everybody. Yep, thanks out. Bye.